This week, shouts in the streets of downtown Little Rock as some students held protest against immigration operations nationwide. Thank you for joining us here on THV 11 Plus. I'm Ashley King. Protests stem from a pair of deadly shootings by ICE agents in Minneapolis. Border Czar Tom Homan says about 700 ICE officers are leaving the state immediately, while agents who remain will now be required to wear body cameras. As things continue to play out across the country, THV 11's Carter Thweet attended the demonstrations and shares what students and the school had to say.
It was around 12:50 on Wednesday when students at East Em High School in East Little Rock began to protest. A group of around 100 gathering in the school's courtyard and a smaller group of around 40 marching through downtown Little Rock.
It's never wrong to stand up for what you think is right and speak your mind and make sure you get your point across. You have rights.
The students were accompanied by Little Rock police officers, one of them telling me they just wanted to keep the students safe. Students chanted and waved signs, many of them using whatever materials they could find. While their methods were different, their message was the same.
We've seen white people, black people, Hispanic people, Asian people. We've seen everybody. We've seen everybody get affected by this.
East Em isn't the only school that could see students walk out this week. Bryant School says they're aware of posts advertising a similar event on Thursday. In a Facebook post, administrators made it clear they do not endorse walkouts and expect students to remain in class. Meanwhile, East Em CEO said they don't have a position on the protests, but they support their students' interest in democracy.
Administration and the teachers were actually told to stay out of our way and let us do this. They had to act like they didn't want us to do it, but they let us out.
The Arkansas Access Act that Governor Sanders signed in 2025 also takes a position on this, saying students who engage in political protest can't get an excused absence for it. That didn't seem to matter much to these students.
It's scary that you can't even walk outside your house without being terrified of coming home or not. Even kids my age scared of their parents not coming home.
In Little Rock, Carter Thweet, THV 11 News.
Carter, thank you. Fayetteville students staged a similar protest earlier this week. And like East Em, administrators made clear the students did it on their own and those who left campus received unexcused absences. According to East Em's handbook, students are permitted and unexcused absences a semester before punishment. Amber Waterman, the woman accused of killing a pregnant mother and her unborn baby, has also pleaded guilty. State prosecutors say Waterman used a fake Facebook profile to lure Ashley Bush to a meeting in Benton County back in 2022, then kidnapped and killed her to take the child. Waterman is already serving a life sentence on federal charges. This week, she received 2 more life sentences without parole, but it ends the state's pursuit of the death penalty in the case.
Some states, people sentenced to life can parole. Arkansas is not one of those states. So in Arkansas, life means life. And I think the only thing that would get her out would be a casket or a pardon.
Ashley Bush's family read their victim impact statement in front of Waterman before guards removed her back to her cell in restraints. Judge Brad Karen offered words to Bush's family at the end of the hearing, making it clear his sentencing is final and Amber Waterman will never be free again. Meanwhile, the only black-owned credit union in Arkansas is now under federal conservatorship, and the former CEO is fighting back. The National Overseer for Credit Unions pushed control of the People Trust Community Federal Credit Union to a competitor last month. It's a 4-year-old institution started specifically to serve so-called underbanked communities. THV 11's Catherine Rowley breaks down the legal paperwork.
Now that former CEO is Arlo Washington, has gone from barber to banker in just a few short years. His work became a part of a documentary that earned an Academy Award nomination. Now he faces an uphill battle to prove to federal regulators that the problems with the People Trust are not his fault and they know it.
As of Friday, January the 16th at 3 p.m., People Trust Community Federal Credit Union was placed into conservatorship.
That's Washington in a post on his Facebook page last month. He relays the information he found out from the National Credit Union Administration Board that the People's Trust Community Credit Union is now being ran by someone else.
It is an administrative action, not a reflection of the value of this community or the purpose behind the institution.
But Washington is trying to fight that action. He filed an appeal in federal court. He claims that the problems with his books auditors found last year can be traced to a faulty third-party software that the board was made aware of. But they still made the move without giving him the chance to plead his case. Now he hopes this lawsuit will give them that chance while trying to reassure his former members that their money is still safe.
We are working with the National Credit Union Administration, and we are working with Arkansas Federal Credit Union to protect members, and to help you along the way.
Well, like Mr. Washington said, Arkansas Federal Credit Union has been named as the conservator, meaning people trust customers for now are members of that credit union with all the protections that the NCUA offers. The feds did make it clear, however, that they saw no signs of fraud, embezzlement, or gross negligence in any of their reports.
Looking forward to several major elections this year. We've already had a few primaries in the state. Brad Simon won the Republican primary runoff for State Senate District 26 last night. He is a small business owner from Paris who entered the race last fall after switching from a campaign for State House. He hopes to replace late Senator Gary Stubblefield, who he called a champion for rural Arkansas and conservative values in the River Valley. He is opposed to the Sanders administration's plan to build a new prison in his district, but says he's ready to work with colleagues in Little Rock.
We need a state senator that's going to be able to get something done, to be able to get things done. And that's going to require working with other legislators. And I believe that I'm the candidate to do that.
He finished second in the special primary, but won support of 65% of the voters in the runoff. He now faces off against independent candidate Adam Watson.
I'm committed to being honest up front with them and transparent in my decision making. And I want that process to include the community. So if voters of District 26 want to have a greater level of participation in their government, I think I'm a really good choice for them.
Watson leads the grassroots organization Gravel and Grit that started as a way to fight the prison plan. That special election will take place on March 3rd, coinciding with the midterm primary that day. In another race, early voting is just 2 weeks away for a local justice of the peace election in Garland County. But now a legal fight is playing out over the race. An incumbent candidate is suing, claiming a polling location at his opponent's job is undermining election integrity. THV 11's Tanya Motorzitsky explains the center of this controversy.
This was not the route Garland County District 7 Justice of Peace Dayton Myers wanted to take. But he says election integrity is on the line.
It's not just about my election. It's about making sure that all elections are free and fair.
Myers filed a lawsuit last week against Garland County Election Commission and County Judge Daryl Mahoney. He says they're allowing a polling location to be at his opponent, Robert Loughton's job, Allen Tillery Automobile Dealership. The lawsuit says the polling location is usually at the Hot Springs Mall. Documents allege Judge Mahoney handpicked the location, saying it is understood that the Garland County judge may have the commission recommendation as to a polling place to the Garland County Election Commission, something they say is against the Arkansas Constitution. Judge Mahoney declined to comment. Myers and one of his attorneys, Josh Hurst, says they tried to file an appeal with the Election Commission but was denied, so which leads to them filing this injunction.
This sets a precedent here in Garland County, and if the courts fail to act on it, it could allow for this to rampantly start happening all over the state of Arkansas.
He says all they're asking for is fairness.
Even the appearance that the Election Commission is showing favoritism to one candidate or the other, or that the polling location is somehow not neutral, it's just not right, and it's not fair to the voters that they may feel intimidated when they go into vote.
In a statement from Loughton, he says he supports the decisions made by the commission and judge and says, I want to be clear that I am an employee who happens to be on the ballot for Justice of Peace District 7. The location currently under scrutiny is in District 4, not in District 7. He then gives addresses of the dealership and where his exact office is and says this is a completely separate building from where I work, located approximately 200 yards away. In Garland County, Tanya Motorzitsky, THV 11 News.
Attorney Hurst says 3 out of the 4 judges have recused themselves from this case already. He says they do plan to have a speedy ruling with elections coming up. We've reached out to the Election Commission and we did not hear back. More than 150 law professors across the U.S. have signed a letter addressed to the University of Arkansas after administrators revoked an offer to Emily Susky to become their new dean of the law school. The letter criticizes the move that apparently followed Susky joining an amicus brief in a Supreme Court case involving transgender athletes. Senate President Pro Tem Bart Hester is among the lawmakers who pressured the board to revoke the offer.
The University of Arkansas is a land-grant institution. There's a supermajority of Arkansans that believe a particular way on things. They need to understand that with who they're hiring.
I think it's important to recognize that people who run a law school have the collective expertise of their entire careers in selecting an appropriate leader, which is not easy to do.
Governor Sanders is among those who have continued to support the university's decision, saying it is the, quote, common sense decision in the best interest of the students. As we finally move on from the winter weather, schools got back in session this week. Most were out for more than a week, but now have to figure out how they're going to make up for those snow days. Conway is among the very few local districts that return to class first, meaning they have only used the 5 days most districts project will be needed each year. Of course, that assumes there are no more snow days. Little Rock Public Schools use an alternative calendar which counts hours in a classroom versus days. They will now calculate if more hours need to be added to each day from here on out.
But we are going to go back and look at some non-student days that we have in February and March, and probably have some conversations with our teachers and our board about changing some of those days to student days to give our students and teachers an opportunity to make up some instruction that has been lost.
Jacksonville North Pulaski School District says they're doing the same. By law, Arkansas Public Schools need to have 178 student teacher days or 1,068 instructional hours in a school year. A new bill in D.C. leading to concerns at one of the state's biggest tourist spots. The potential big changes for the Big Cat Sanctuary after the break. Welcome back. A newly proposed bill in Washington, D.C. is causing concerns for one big cat sanctuary here in Arkansas. Turpentine Creek, a refuge in Eureka Springs, has been taking in big cats for years, rescuing them from neglect, abuse, and illegal breeding. But the proposed bill would allow certain facilities to hold big cats under different rules related to breeding, who can own them, and how they're transported. And its vice president's fears of what could come if it passes.
It'll be reversing everything that we've been working for 30 years. We'll be back in the 90s again, and we'll have people like Joe Exotic with the Tiger King running around at your local malls and things like that, doing magic shows with cats.
Smith collaborated with Representative Steve Womack to get previous big cat safety laws passed and says he is already working with him to stop the new bill. In Saline County, leaders are weighing changes to animal control rules after a deadly dog attack. The discussion comes after a 15-year-old, Michaela Fortner, was killed near Alexander, raising questions about enforcement and safety in unincorporated areas. THV 11's Catherine Rowley breaks down what county leaders are considering and what could come next.
The ordinance would regulate animal control within the unincorporated boundaries of the county. This proposed ordinance would also make violations a misdemeanor, punishable by a fine or a sentence.
I don't want to overshoot the target, and we've never passed, as long as I've been here, I never remember passing an ordinance that's overly restrictive.
The court and county have been working on some type of ordinance for the last couple of years to address the dog problem. After a series of vicious dog attacks, including a fatal one, the efforts were ramped up in mid-June.
But at the same time, we owe it to our constituents to provide, a safe community for them to walk in, for them to run in, even off of their property, or most definitely to be safe on their own property.
Another problem that came up in the discussion was about shelter space. Stephanie Johnson, a member of the court, mentioned that as of right now, space is being used at other shelters in the county, but stated that there should be some type of facility countywide.
The thing that the county needs, I feel, in my opinion, is a county shelter of some kind, shape, size, whatever, to be able to take care of this problem.
According to County Judge Matt Brumley, the ordinance that would replace the existing one would set clear expectations for owners and would also put in a punishment for owners that own vicious dogs and allow county officials to enforce the law.
Needs to allow the sheriff's office to quickly and effectively enforce the ordinance to prevent tragic situations where possible, to have discretion to resolve an at-large dog problem in Saline County.
The ordinance was not passed out of the committee yesterday. It was just a discussion. The county wants the public's input on the ordinance before it's passed out of the committee and put on a quorum court agenda meeting and goes through the readings. Catherine Rowley, THV 11 News.
Don't look now, but Mardi Gras is right around the corner. A look at the baker behind Northwest Arkansas's famous king cakes. But first, let's eat it up.
Everybody asked him, man, you got to be from Louisiana making this. He said, no, I'm from Texas. I'm just a smart guy. I know how to do it right. Quote of the century, by the way. Quote of the century. This week on Eat It Up, we are back in Little Rock finally. Snow's starting to clear. We're done with that winter storm. We get to go on shoots once again, and we have got a special treat for you. Little Red Wagon food truck. This spot is unbelievable. This chef, he is a Texas native. He has brought his talents to Arkansas. Y'all, it is so good. We're gonna introduce you some incredible Cajun dishes. I have to say, the shrimp and grits buckled my knees a little bit. So what do you say? Let's dive in and let's eat it up.
So I was at Red Moon Tavern for, 3 years, something like that. Made beautiful food. Ran a wonderful staff, just decided to buy this and build my own platform. The whole entrepreneurial journey is exactly that. It's a journey, and I've been taking my lessons and my lumps and all of that in stride and try to stay grateful through it all and just keep pushing and trying to make the best food that I can. I'm just pulling my little red wagon, and it's actually an analogy for self-reliance. If you want to ride your little red wagon down the hill, you've got to first pull it up. Nobody's going to pull your wagon for you. Natchitoches meat pies, or Louisiana meat pies. Eating a meat pie in Natchitoches was one of those transformative bites. Every chef has 4 bites. They're man, that shifted my paradigm. The next thing we'll do is a dish that's near and dear to my heart, and it's shrimp and grits. I make my own blackening seasoning that I call White Boy Chicken Feed. Andouille sausage that I get brought in from Yolcom, Texas. The OG gumbo and grits. All right. And on days that it was 20 degrees, man, my buddy would come by and he's like, let's put grits in the gumbo, Also gonna do a coriander scented pork tenderloin. All right, that's what I'm running as a feature this week with a multi-grain risotto. And then to end it all, we're gonna do bananas Foster bread pudding.
All right, your first Eat It Up, Chris. Honorary first bite, the shrimp and grits. Oh yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Yep, I'll be back.
He's coming back.
I'm coming back.
And yeah, it's probably not decor to eat the whole shrimp. That's probably exactly what I'm about to do because it looks so good. Perfect, perfect, perfect coriander scented pork tenderloin. My IQ just went up 10 points because I said that. Sauce is out of this world. Can you see all the flavor and the stuffing inside that bad boy? Spicy ground beef, bell peppers, onions, garlic. Oh, if you ever go on Jeopardy and they have a Hayden Balgavy category, what's his favorite dessert? Right here, baby. Bring this to the Super Bowl party. No one's gonna remember your wings or anything like that. Come see Michael and bring this to your Super Bowl party. You'll be the favorite. It doesn't matter who you're rooting for.
Welcome back. Well, Mardi Gras is right around the corner, and if you're craving a true taste of Fat Tuesday, one bakery is serving up a slice of the Big Easy just up the road in Fort Smith. Morgan Wrigley from our Northwest Arkansas affiliate introduces us to the bakers behind their popular king cakes.
If you ask someone in or around Fort Smith where they get their king cake, one name comes up again and again: the Bougie Boys.
The dough is actually a brioche, because a lot of people think it's just a very, very fancy cinnamon roll, and it is not structurally that. The brioche has a lot more butter and eggs.
The secret ingredient? James and John Nicholson might say it's their special cream cheese mix, but some of it comes from years spent in Louisiana.
King cakes are very serious. Very, very serious now.
Originally from Dallas and Hot Springs, the couple met in Little Rock before opening a florist and gift shop just north of New Orleans.
We were called Bougie when we moved to Lafayette from our friends. John will tell you I'm more bougie than he is.
It's true.
We love to cook. We love to bake.
When they retired and moved to Fort Smith in December 2024, they decided to put those skills to work.
Well, I'm going to let this rise because it's at 350 instead of the one.
The Bougie Boys is a florist and bakery year-round, but when Mardi Gras season rolls around, for these former Louisianans, there's one dish that takes the cake.
If you're a baker in New Orleans or Lafayette or New Iberia or any of the towns down there, if you don't make a good king cake, you're going to go out of business. Before there really was the U.S., there was king cakes, and because it came out of France. The colors were the colors of the king's court. The gold is for power, the purple is justice, and the green is faith. A traditional will have a hole in the center, and that is to symbolize the wise men on their journey looking for the baby Jesus, which is why there's a little baby inside, traditionally, the king cake.
Even though they've only been open in Fort Smith for a little more than a year, the word spread fast, and their home bakery stays busy. With James handling the baking and John taking care of the finishing touches, they turn out about 4 king cakes a day.
A lot of people think that you eat the king cake on Fat Tuesday, but no, you eat as many.
You eat as many as you can. We're already up to 2. You leave the knife in the box, because then every time you walk past the box, you cut a little slice. And you just pick up, because if you're walking and holding it, there are no calories.
Each one made with true New Orleans flair.
In New Orleans, you put stuff in there till your ancestors tell you to stop. And mine are very generous ancestors.
All year long, but especially during this busy season, they hope to bring a taste of what Mardi Gras is all about.
To let go of all the problems, we party as much as we can between Epiphany and Fat Tuesday, because on Wednesday we go into Lent. We get more serious.
Just don't expect it any other time of year.
Make king cakes out of season or eat them. It will rain on Mardi Gras. It will be horrible. The weather will be terrible. So, I mean, we're not down in New Orleans, so we're okay.
Yeah. But we don't want to be responsible.
But we do not want to be responsible. Scott would be upset if we could pouring down, you know.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.
Well, before we go, check this out. A Pine Bluff native has a Grammy coming in the mail. Drummer, producer, and songwriter Frank Mocha shared in a victory with Durand Bernard. Bernard won the award for Best Progressive R&B Album. Mocha, born and raised in Pine Bluff, has been touring with Erykah Badu for years, a path that eventually led him to working with Bernard in 2022. While he's contributed to Grammy-winning projects before, this one was different. It was the first time his contribution qualified him as an official Grammy winner.
And one of my friends who was at the ceremony, he called me and he was like, "Hey man, they just called you guys' name, y'all won." And I don't know, I just couldn't believe it. The first thing I did was call my mom. Just do it, you know, knowing what you want to do is half the battle. And once you know what you want to do, there are no more excuses.
Mocha says he's grateful to be sharing this moment with his hometown, and he's not slowing down anytime soon. He has upcoming shows of his own in Los Angeles and is also preparing to release a new progressive jazz hip hop album this summer. Well, thank you for joining us for your 11 on 11 here on THV 11 Plus, and we'll see you next week.